A or an Alt Z, and it all of a sudden would do some sort of key combination of sorts. And that is how I'm able to utilize with Zoom through the BitFocus listener. In one button, I'm sending Zoom global shortcut commands to mute and unmute myself, to turn on my camera on and off, as simple examples.
Okay, so we've got a ecosystem with a whole load of controllers. Elgato started it, but many other controllers are now available. And then we have a large number of hardware and software devices that we can send commands to. But we can do better than that, can't we? Because Elgato introduced little twisty knobs. So we can now send a value rather than just an on and off. So we can have a volume up and down, or a screen zoom in and out, or any other type of interface that you want. And again, there are third-party devices that have these. I've seen third-party devices with little T-bars that you can control through the interface. So that you can spend all that money buying some Blackmagic switches, and then you can have the Blackmagic control desk, but maybe that's too big or inconvenient or too expensive. You could simulate that with another control device with a T-bar, or you could use one of these rolling things. And by the way, these are a little screen here, which can show data as well, and is haptic, I think is the word I want to say, so that you can control things on there as well. And of course, some people like me just get carried away and need more buttons. So we've also got this, which is the XL. It's been out for quite a while, and this has more buttons. But I better warn you that this is not the extent of the functions on these devices, because in both the Stream Deck software and the BitFocus companion software, you are not limited to just these buttons. You can have pages of buttons, and you can then have controls to jump from one page to another of buttons. So if you want to take the example, the great example of Mike about the song thing, you could have a whole page of buttons dedicated to one song, because there's different lighting cues during that song maybe. And then you could do a page up and your page down, and you could go to the next song, and there could be a whole different set of buttons with different programs all available to run that. And then you could have another page of buttons to do the opening. You could have another page of buttons to do the closing. You could produce buttons at all levels, and therefore take everything to the next level of controls.
Yep.
And then, of course, you end up with lots of these dotted around. I don't know how many controllers you have in your empire, Mike. I've got...
I have not invested in as many as John has in his hands. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, I'm already... I've got 9 that I can think of.
I've got 1 per studio is my official answer. So that's my official answer.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I am not running multiples, as some of our friends do. You know, the multiple 32 button that John just had up there. I've seen people with 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
All hooked up to one BitFocus companion. So 32 times 3. Everybody do the math. Oh, look out. He's going to stomp.
Yeah, my favorite. This is my favorite controller of all of them. And that is for a very simple reason. It's a foot controller. So I can stand on my virtual stage and I can have this in front of me. And like some sublime guitarist, I can just lean forward a bit and hit a button, and then I can have a slide go forward in my PowerPoint, or change a camera, And again, this still works. It's only got three, for those that are wondering. There's a left, a right, and a center. There's only three buttons on this unit. But again, you can still use the paging facility to make those three buttons be doing different things in different situations. And I wish more manufacturers came out with some decent buttons, foot controllers, because I have seen third-party foot controllers, but they've tend to be, I don't want to insult them, but shall we just say they've been manufactured for cost savings in a factory in the Chinese area rather than for robustness. And although it's been really nice to see these lower priced products come along, because that obviously makes it more cost effective for simple users who have simple needs and a very simple wallet, who want to do streaming and find all these things quite expensive. There are some cheaper versions, but I wish there were more robust versions to compete with the Stream Deck. I have, though, one surprise for Mike.
You do?
I do.
Look out.
Because although I am not an Elgato sponsored person in any way, shape, or form, I was able, this is Friday when this is recorded, on Wednesday to order this unit. And amazingly, it was delivered yesterday. So Elgato obviously had them already in the distribution channel in their little, it's not little, their enormous office, which they share with Corsair, their holding company, I think we would call it, their mother company.
The parent, yeah, the parent company, yep.
Yeah. And so this is
Massive.
this is well, yeah. This is the consummation of one of these and one of those. And like a lot of children, they end up taller than the parents. I think that's probably the way we're going to phrase it, isn't it?
That's fair. That's fair.
And I haven't opened this box apart from breaking the seal just to make sure I could pull it open, because I thought an unboxing for Mike would be something he would like. And again, it's an experience. So there's a nice little top box.
Yep.
And then under it, there's this lovely bag. They always put these lovely bags around the units, and I can't get the bag open without tearing it, which is a shame.
There it is. Awful shiny.
This is the Moap, mother of all controllers.
Yeah, so we've got 9 across the top, 9x4. So we're 36 buttons on the top. And then we're 6 dials.
Yeah, and 6 haptic touch interfaces as well, with little displays on there. And those displays are better than the buttons in the respect that people have, and Elgato have in their software, made little dials, so you can have a volume dial and you can see the volume going up and down. So they're more interactive than the standard dials. But this is where I have a bone to pick with Elgato. Because they've also been announcing some really good and cool, and maybe we should look at those, sound devices. They've upgraded their sound range, worthy of a discussion in itself, because there are some clever things happening there. But there's a sound device that looked really good, that has its own controller and a little knob on it. This is the new version. It looks absolutely amazing. But traditionally, there's been a version of that audio controller that plugs in behind, and I'm now going to try and take one of these apart, behind the controller. Where is it? This one. So when you have one of these, there's a little connector there, and you could plug in this unit at the back, which gives you your access to your audio and connects directly into the Stream Deck.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, because what Elgato are effectively doing there is, and I need to test it to understand it exactly, because we know how marketing people aren't always exact with what happens in the real world. But as I understand it, these two devices, the audio devices they've just released and this controller, plug in together and they talk to each other. So they are not, I won't say not requiring a PC, because obviously the controller's got to be connected to something somehow, but they don't really interact with the PC to do the controls, as far as I understand it, which is really neat. But this is where the bone comes out to be picked. They're not compatible with this. Even the new audio devices are not compatible with this.
Right. Yeah.
Because
There's a different module in the back there, John.
yeah, the
On the
back
new
is
one.
different and you can't physically connect them together. Now, whether you can put a cable between the two and fiddle it, I don't know. But it does explicitly say in the release documentation, which is why I do not have the audio device here, because I needed to go away and work out what the heck was going on with their connections. You can't plug this into directly. It's a beast, isn't it? You can't plug this directly into their new audio device, which is a shame, because that would have made sense to me, to be able to plug in and have your one of these, whatever you like, on a cable, phantom power included, audio device integrated with the Stream Deck directly. That sounded to me amazing. And the other curious about this, which is quite funny really, is that you could order colored buttons. So you could change the buttons from black to a color of your choice. Obviously, only the colors available. I chose silver. But what was entertaining to me was I got 2 packets and I thought, have they double shipped me? No, they hadn't double shipped me. The previous device only had 4 buttons. So they'd mass produced all these sets of colored buttons in 4s. But this device has 6 buttons. So they had to provide me with 2 sets of 4 so I could get my 6 buttons worth.
And you're talking about the actual dials themselves, John.
Yeah.
Right.
So I now have 2 extra dials free. Well, not free. Actually, they were free because it was included. One set was included for free. I think they were £35 or $35 if you wanted another set. So I actually have 8 dials. So I could put 2 on here. I could go black,
Yep.
silver, black, silver. And then I could have all silver on here. A little bit of bling, which Elgato has noticed, as you said, with the overlays. Elgato has noticed they can make extra money out of us by offering a few bling things in their lineup that makes silly people like me with more money than sense to go and buy little plastic silver knobs. I could have 3D printed them, couldn't I, really?
But they wouldn't be Elgato buttons or dials then, John.
No, they wouldn't. They
No,
wouldn't.
they wouldn't.
And that would be terrible, Mike.
Terrible. Terrible.
So what have we learned? There are, or there is, an ecosystem where there are many developers who have enabled lots of hardware, software to connect to this central community resource called BitFocus Companion, which has taken the whole concept from Elgato and effectively put it on steroids.
Right.
Not
my
only,
favorite saying. Yep.
yeah, not only are they opening up the marketplace completely to all these other products that can interface. But they then make it possible for other interface devices, so competitors to Stream Deck, to be able to use the same ecosystem to provide another range of devices that will work in this ecosystem and control things. And we can control with buttons, we can control with knobs, we can get feedback. Stream Deck in its standard has the ability to have 2 different versions, and I've just turned my camera off. How did I do that? I hit a Stream Deck button as I was moving the boxes around. So there we are. So I will celebrate that and try not to do it again. These buttons, controls, a central resource. As you said, we can do it locally, but BitFocus Companion can actually control devices through IP addresses. Again, only really designed for running with your own network. So it could be an office on another floor, or just a device further across the studio you're in. But with the technology that we have, we can actually make that worldwide.
Right. And there's also the important thing too, is that if you're a bit of a hobbyist, or if you don't want to actually have a dedicated PC to run BitFocus Companion, there's that infamous little itty bitty little computer called Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And many people have affixed an actual Raspberry Pi to the back there that John was showing through some 3D printing of sorts, so that they can actually make that now entirely a BitFocus, not a BitFocus Companion satellite, but a BitFocus Companion, because the actual Pi is attached to the back of the actual controller, so the actual Stream Deck. So again, Companion Pi is the software. Good old BitFocus once again, being able to. So if you do want to actually have Companion running on its own dedicated Raspberry Pi on your network somewhere, this is where Companion Satellite now will come into play. And also, it will also allow you to be a lot more flexible too. So going back quickly to the scenario where you're a band, now you have the lighting guy, they have their own Stream Deck. The audio guy, they have their own Stream Deck. The lighting, audio guy has their own, video guy has their own. And again, Companion could be that literally Raspberry Pi sitting at the back of the stage that just sent over the network to all the network gear that's on stage. Do this because I said so, because I hit this one button. So that's where Companion Satellite could then come into play, where they would literally just have to have that Companion unit on at their actual front of house, as an example, in the production world. And when we do, when there's large bands and such like that, that's popular. So you'll have your front of house that'll have your audio person, your video person, and your lighting person. They're all there. So you just literally would have to run, in that case, they could, depending on how they have the actual Stream Deck connected to, again, it still needs power from somewhere, either USB or such. But if you did actually have a network capability on it, and there is actually, Elgato was listening to that too, and there is actually an add-on where you can actually now plug in from the actual Stream Decks into this unit, and that unit will then give you Ethernet.
Yeah, it gives you an IP address which you can then talk to from other places.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. So literally you would just need one of those at each front of house location for each. Audio gets one, video gets one, lighting guy gets one. Now they've got their own, and then all you'd have to do within Companion, BitFocus Companion themselves, is give them however many pages they want, because you could have up to 100 pages. So again, you could have the lighting guy start at page 10. You could have the audio guy start at page 20. You could have the video guy start at page 30. That's all capable in Companion 2, as long as it's set up properly. But again, that allows the audio guy to put in all his gear and make sure that Companion talks to his audio mixer of choice. Same with the video, Blackmagic, all there. We talk about that many times here on the show. And on top of that too, so the lighting guys, that could be easily any of the different DMX lighting controllers that are out there are already in Companion. And I just wanted to let everybody know, as of us broadcasting this live and as of this recording, Companion's version is 4.2.5.
And then there is another version, a premium version now called Buttons.
Buttons. Yes, buttons. So the production, so this is in conjunction. So initially Elgato made the Stream Deck. So now Elgato started to watch what BitFocus was doing. And now they came up with BitFocus buttons. And Elgato said, oh, okay. And your production people around the world, would they be happy with a 1U rack mount version of a Stream Deck? And BitFocus Companion said, of course, if you will build it as a 1U rack mountable unit. This is the suggestion of the feedback from what we're hearing from the production world. If you want to take that feedback and make a 1U rack mountable BitFocus, sorry, let me do this right. 1U rack mountable Elgato Stream Deck, then absolutely. So that was launched within the last, I believe, year or two as well. And that is a 1U rack mountable version of it. Where that's used in the production world quite a bit would be backstage. So where actually the actual rack gear is situated, they would have the equivalent buttons that they would have at the front of house, as I gave you the example, where they would have probably a 32 button, Stream Deck XL for the video guy, one for the audio guy, one for the lighting guy and gal. For them to do that, they would actually have a couple of the 1Us back at so they didn't have to go all the way to front of house, because that could be many minutes to go all the way there to try a few buttons. So they actually had this 1U rack mountable unit that they'll put in a rack on stage so that they can actually start testing. Okay, yeah, let's see how it sounds, if I hit this one for audio. So they'll have like 2 or 3 different ones, one for audio, one for video, one for lighting. And then they'll do basic commands just to make sure that not only is BitFocus Companion listening, but also the gear that's now lifted up into the ceiling, if not flown above the crowd, actually reacts to the buttons as it should.
And it has one dial at each end as well. So there's 2 dials.
Right. And also it actually has the capability as well of having more security on it, because it can be left open, and you just don't want people all of a sudden swiping and all of a sudden touching these buttons, because it can be left open. So there is a bit of a similar to like a security type code. I'm trying to think of the technology, John. It's not coming to me, but basically you'd have to swipe it, then it understand it's you, and then you get access to do only certain things on the touch panel. So
there's a new version of
different
software. There's a sort of an actual next generation software that's using this, which is, as you say, is more aimed to add a bit more security and professionalism to the buttons. And I think the way they work is a little bit more clever. It's a bit more control in the way the buttons are used and the way they can interact. And that's
it increased. Yeah, again, that was taking feedback from, and this has been focused, taking feedback from the production industry too, is that, it's all fine and dandy if the Stream Deck's in front of me. Yes, I'm going to babysit it and nobody's going to touch it. Now, if I haven't got eyes on this brand new unit that's a when you rack mount backstage, somebody walking by can accidentally go, "Oh, cool! Look at all these cool buttons. Let's see what it does." Then all of a sudden, you've got lights flying around. You got videos doing all kinds of different things, and of course, Companion's going to listen because it said, "Oh, you touched the button. I'm going to do what you told me to do." It's not going to be. So that's where they took that into consideration of, okay, what is this person allowed to do? Okay, this person backstage is allowed to swipe his card. And if I need him to, he can hit these 4 buttons. And those 4 buttons are just tailor-made for that person backstage. Should I have a problem when I'm at the front of house for me to do something? And that again is just as people want examples of how I would use this, that would be how the industry is using the buttons. Now, again, are they running Companion at that particular point? No. And the big difference between buttons and Companion, there isn't much, but there is enough where buttons was more oriented towards the production world, and Companion is still they took the best of Companion and put it into buttons. So the modules that are in Companion are cross-compatible with buttons. So the manufacturers and the community people that have already made the Companion module, it will also work in buttons. So that is a huge thing too. And that was one of the major concerns when buttons initially came out is this mean, as the developers are going, does this mean I have to now write for buttons? Is it going to be different code? And the developers in the back end said, no, your modules will be identical. It's just how we deal with them differently with the additional security and such in buttons will be more tailor made to the production environment when it's more out in the open, especially depending on the situation when it comes to the when you rack mountable units.
It's a enormous ecosystem, and it's very powerful and it's very flexible, and you can see the options. And I've even seen a friend of mine use one of these little click buttons that is just hidden under a desk, and he can press a button and it then feeds into the system. It's a wonderful world. It's the connectivity example of hardware and systems to compete with the interactive world of software and applications that talk to each other. CRMs that can talk to marketing systems, that can talk to Zoom and communicate. This is our production version of that connection world, where you can have various devices across different manufacturers, all able to be controlled on a single set of buttons. And as Mike said, I used to have this in my London studio. I used to have a small one of the little ones, and this was controlled by a Raspberry Pi, and I had my lectern, and all I needed to do was provide power and the internet connection, which I did with PoE, and I had a little device with a little Raspberry Pi just sitting behind it. I think I sellotaped mine on. It wasn't very 3D printed, I'm afraid. But that allowed me to go to my lectern and just be able to turn on and off my camera and change a camera and set a second camera and mute myself. And I think that's all. Oh, and then I had a title scene that I could turn on and off. And that was it. And I could do a lot of presentations from that without a lot of effort. And without needing a team of people or me leaning over to click some mouse somewhere to do it. It's a very powerful system, and it's really limited by your imagination and and of course you'll want to play around with lots of toys, of course, which is always useful. If somebody in your organization has the ingenuity to put them into the situations, then they are very useful and good fun. And I am so disappointed you only have one of each in your studios, Mike. We really should encourage you to play with them more.
Ah, yes. So true. So true. Yes. I could always use more buttons. Yeah.
We can always use more buttons. That's probably the best closing statement of this whole show. So whether you're tempted to, like me, to put all your buttons into one box so you can stop having multiple units hanging around the studio, and you want a Stream Deck.
Yeah, with the Stream Deck Plus XL. What a
Yeah.
beast.
I can't hold it up for too long. It is quite considerably heavy. But don't worry, I will find lots of things that I can do with those buttons. So it only remains for me to say thank you, Mike, for your time today.
Yes, it was great, John. And again, we'll be doing more and more of these as weeks come along. So do check us out every Friday. Again, we're targeting more towards the production world. So thanks everyone for joining us this week on, Johnny, what are we calling the show again? Ah, look at him throwing things up for me on purpose. Production Professionals Power Hour. Go figure. That's it. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to let everybody on YouTube know how much you love our content. And see everyone next week for another edition of the Production Professionals Power Hour. Take care, everybody.
Every week we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. To breakout rooms with flair, we've got the tools and we're ready to share. Guest experts drop in, bringing gold each time, with insights and tricks to help you climb. Can't make it live, we've got you still on YouTube and LinkedIn. We're giving that thrill, so tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we glow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. And make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Take the spotlight, the stage is yours. Bring your message through virtual doors. Each week we gather, and now you know you're not alone, so let it flow. Thank you for joining us, now go and shine. Share what you've learned, your voice, your time. With Lord Zoom Live, your power will grow. It's time to build your own show.